Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for this month's Swish KOL AME session. I am Sophie, and I'm actually very honored to have none other than Alexis Bauduin, the founder and CEO of YOLO Group, with me today. So before creating YoloFoods, Alexis actually had a long and interesting career in the FMCG industry. So having led a few brands for the luxury group LVMH, before going on to star in the reality TV business show called Apprentice Asia with Tony Fernandez. As you know, he's the CEO of AirAsia, right? So when he actually got hired by the business tycoon himself. So a passionate entrepreneur on a mission to make healthy eating more enjoyable, accessible, and understandable. Alexis is here to share with us how you can actually level up your health game through healthy eating and wellness. So thank you so much, Alexis, for joining us today for this interview. So maybe just to kickstart everything, could you actually share with us a little bit more about your personal journey and what actually motivated you to transition from the corporate world to the entrepreneurship space, specifically in the food and
Sure.
wellness industry?
Of course. Thanks a lot, Sophie. Thanks. Very happy to be here. Very happy to be, sharing more about, obviously, my experience and how you started, but also more on entrepreneurship and wellness. So yeah, a little bit of background on myself. So I've actually been almost 20 years in Asia, 10 years in China, and in about like 8-9 years now in Singapore. And as you mentioned, I used to have like a first I'll say 10 years of my corporate life where I really like focused on corporate, focused on LVMH building brands, and what I like to say is that I used to poison people for a living, and now I'm trying to heal them because I was working on the wine and spirit side of LVMH, so Moet Hennessy, and so I basically manage a couple of their brands through Asia Pacific, and incredible experience, especially working for such a big group. But I think that on my side, managing Asia Pacific, it was exhausting. It was 27 markets, non-stop business trips, like 150 business trips a year. And it was a lot of entertaining. It was a lot of going out, lunch meetings, dinner meetings, client visits. And ultimately, like my health took a toll, right? And you don't necessarily understand it because I would still go to the gym, I still look fine, but I didn't understand how eating out all the time and a drink here and drink there could impact my health so much, and ultimately like like I would say like that lifestyle plus of course traveling all the time, so like the sleep was not optimal, stress factor because it was a lot of pressure as well. I think all these like really impacted me negatively to a point where I spent like almost like 3 weeks in a hospital, very serious health issues that were linked to the lifestyle, that were linked to intolerances that I had, and ultimately that brought me to like really look at how I was eating, relook at how I was living my life, and the first step was, all right, how do I eat better? How do I control a little bit on like my nutrition, and I think that very quickly I started to realize like, oh wow, there's a massive gap between what I'm used to eat when I go out and when I go to these restaurants and what's out there if you want to eat healthy. And and I like I think any consumer, like food is life, right? Food is a pleasure, and I felt like am I really gonna like have to compromise to that level, like to eat salads all the time or eat at vegetarian places? And I'm like, no, I still want to eat all the things that I love to eat, but like healthier. So where do I find that? And ultimately, like I could find that in the US. I could not find that in Asia much. And I think that's what like really sparked the idea of really looking into the Asian market and looking into the nutrition side of things, and realizing that Asia was and is worse and worse still since then, has like it's the state of Asian people in general, like obesity, overweight, all that is really bad. And I felt that from a market situation, it was really bad, and then I felt like there was a really big opportunity to create a brand that would be a lot more relatable, that would really transform the way people are experiencing healthy, and this is how like YoloFoods got created basically.
Thank you so much, Alexis. And I think also being in Asia, like, generally like the culture, food and everything is like very, very sinful, right? It's all rich with like,
Yeah.
lots of oil and coconut and spices. So it's very much different from what you can get from Europe, right? And
Yeah, no, for sure. And for sure. But yeah, I think like, there's also, there's the traditional aspect of like you say, like a lot of the cuisine are pretty heavy in the ingredients. But then there's also an aspect of, like the movement and understanding like, how important it is to, to have some type of fitness activities and to, to move throughout the day and a lot of the jobs are, like more and more, say like in the office or at home and you're not moving much. And I think that also plays a big part on the overall like health of, like the Asian like community.
Mm-hmm. And we also learned that prior to starting YoloFoods, right? You were also selected out of like 50,000 contestants to participate in the
Yeah.
famous reality TV show Apprentice Asia with Tony Fernandez. How was it? And how did you even actually landed a job with him after that? Like, how have those experiences like influenced your approach to entrepreneurship and also the creation of YoloFoods?
I mean, the experience was crazy, and I think that, it was so funny because, this show was like my favorite show on TV. I watched it since I was like, 16 years old. And, Donald Trump was winning in the US, and it was always my dream because I'm a very competitive person and I love business. I love everything that is about like challenging people's minds. So when I saw that, they were casting in Asia, I didn't even think, because like, I didn't even think that, I would go through. I was like, oh, listen, like it's my career choice, it's here, let's apply. But I was Asia Pacific director at the time, and I'm like, like. But then when it came down to it, and it came down to like making a choice, and being like, all right, what am I gonna do? Because I got selected in the top 10 and top 12, and so that was already like quite an experience, like the whole interview process. But then going through the show was, it was a surreal experience. It's something that I'm so lucky, and I'm very proud about, about doing. And but it was very tough. It was very, very tough, both like mentally, physically, and but I was very lucky that it went very well for me. Like you mentioned, I got hired by Tony literally the night where I got fired. I finished third, but the night I got fired, like basically he offered me a job. So before the winner, and yeah, so like I like to say it, I'm like the unofficial winner. But no, it was like it was great, and I think that working with him was also like a great experience, because somebody on that scale, you get like a closer look on how they manage their whole like I would say like ecosystem of companies, and how they work, and how he's structuring everything. And so I learned a lot. But I think like the number one thing is that I got out of that was, yes, like, I think it's time to start YoloFoods. And like I said, right, it was an absolute dream to do this this TV show. And I was like, all right, if this is happening, like anything can happen. So like let's just take a list. Let's drop the corporate world, and if I have a vision, if I have a dream, and the dream was to change people, like the way people were eating, I'm like, let's just go for it, and so I think what he did was really to give me like the confidence to just really go after everything I wanted.
And I think also think probably that show was like your crossroads, right, in a way, because you kind of like have to decide, okay, whether to move forward with like entrepreneurship or just going back to the corporate world, right? So eventually you did move forward. So going back to YoloFoods, perhaps you can actually tell us more about what inspired the company's focus to make healthy eating more enjoyable and also convenient for all.
Yeah, so I think that like the direction from the beginning was, all right, how do I make people eat like healthy food and healthier food? And I think that the first aspect was the actual food. At the end of the day, you can create the best brand, you can create, like best messaging and all these, but it comes down to the food. And if the food is good, people will come. If the food doesn't connect, people will not come in. And especially at the time, like when I started, like 8 years ago, healthy was still like almost like a dirty word, right? Like if you say that you're doing healthy food, people are like, oh yeah, it must be tasteless, it must be bland, it must be expensive. So you had to really like go and fight against these, like preconceived notions in people's head, right? But I think for me, it was really a matter of like, right, if I want to go after the masses, I need to find a way to connect with them. And the way to connect with them is to do their favorite food healthy. And I think that's really like what, kickstarted the vision. And, funny enough, like the whole journey has been like a roller coaster, right? But like when we started, we were a fast casual restaurant. So we went up to like 5 restaurants. And I think that, the food was a very important factor. The environment, the music, the energy. I really wanted people to get like a big boost of energy whenever they came to our locations and whenever they ate our food, because healthy food is not about compromising on anything. Healthy food is giving back. Healthy food is making you feel better. Healthy food is making you sleep better, be more focused, and healthy food tastes great as well, right? But like everything needs to needs to have like a certain transition, right? And so we went from ultimately like that model on fast casual to then having to make a switch when COVID happened. And when COVID happened, especially happened like after we opened like 2 really key locations, and very quickly the thought process was, all right, how do we adapt this business? Are we just going to try to survive, or are we going to try to like now understand what the new reality is and how can we thrive? And I think that it always goes back to the vision of the founder, right? And for me, when I started this, was always a matter of like, I want to try to like feed millions of people. And so this is why I was never in a mentality of like owning 5, 10, or 20. No, I wanted to create a concept that was then scalable. And I think that at that time, with so much uncertainty when it came to retail spaces, I thought that like the online model would be a lot more scalable, and I would be able to reach to a lot more people that way. And so we decided to move away from all the retail spaces that we had and to bring the brand online. And we started first with the creation of like meal plans, where we would sell like we would send basically daily plans, having your lunch, dinner, and snacks every day to people, and offer a different plan, different programs depending on lifestyle goals that people have, like weight loss, wellness, like like vegetarian and all these different things. And then slowly we started to really look into the ready to eat market, chilled and frozen, and develop like skin seal products that are in trays. And that we sell in supermarkets and all that. And I think that like that side of the business exploded for us. And the brand completely changed from like a QSR to be really like an e-commerce brand. And now we are in Singapore, we're in Malaysia, and we're on the verge of like expanding to some big markets. So yeah, very excited about the journey. And for me, it's especially the fact that I'm able to reach a lot more customers, and I think like showing customers that you can enjoy healthy eating, and that healthy eating can be also convenient and affordable, is an extremely important aspect for the vision and direction of the business.
Exactly. And all this while, I've always thought that eating healthy, especially in Singapore, is so expensive. Like you have to pay like at least 15 or 20 bucks to just to get like a good healthy bowl of salad and stuff like that. And that's crazy. So yeah, so we also often hear about connection between healthy eating and also linking it to a happier, more productive lifestyle. So in your opinion, how does like YoloFoods contribute to this connection? And also, what do you think how does organizations, like employees within organizations, can actually benefit from this?
I think that when it comes to nutrition, right, like the way that like we try to approach it, and even through our content and the way that we're going to structure it as like we grow the business, right? It's, nutrition is a very important pillar, but like when you look at wellness holistically, there's basically for me three very key pillars. Like nutrition is one. Number two is fitness, and it's very important, to move. It's very important to have some physical activity. And number three is basically mindfulness, and taking care of, of your mental state. And these three are interconnected, right? So the way that we always look at all that is, all right, how can we really make sure that people get exposed to the three of them, right? And not just one and not just two. And so for us, right, it's a very, very important component. And of course, when you see some of the, the reports and what people don't understand is, just the nutrition, like the nutrition aspect, like impacts so much, like how you feel, right? And there are clear studies that shows that basically like saturated fat and ultimately like what you call cheap food, right? Ultimately, like has a really high impact on your thoughts and really high impact on your body, and that ultimately it has links to depression and all this. When healthier food then ultimately, like has the opposite effect. And so what it means is literally the food that you put in your body impacts the way that you feel, right? And when you think about this is, this is crazy. You're like, no, I'm eating, this cheat meal. I'm eating this thing because I love it. But actually, what you don't understand is like your body absolutely does not. And then the thoughts that you're going to have, the state that you have, that can lead to depression. All these things are also triggered by these things, right? So when you look back to to corporates, right? And that's an area that we focus a lot on. We work a lot with corporates. We launched earlier this year like a very big partnership with Fitness First. And in Fitness First, we do this communication between like the fitness aspect and the nutrition aspect and how it goes hand in hand. And when we work with corporations, we really go and push this. We push that from a holistic point of view. And I think corporates now, they are in a situation where, all right, how do I bring like employees back in the office? And food is one aspect, right? So they first like thought a lot about, okay, no, like I want to bring them back, I'm going to offer them food and this and that. So initially a lot of corporations reached out to us, but I think where they started to really see very interesting programs in when we started to package like our food with also physical activities, talks, and also mindfulness, because one of the thing that is clear and there are a lot of reports on is like people like now to stay at home because they've been used to it. But the problem is there are very clear studies as well that show you how detrimental it is for your own happiness to work from home. Why? Because that one safe space that you have, that you consider like your own private space, where you can before completely disconnect. When you go into that space, this is not work, this is not this. Now that space has work. So now that space has that energy. So it's very hard for a lot of people to disconnect the way they were able to disconnect. And that basically has big consequences on your own personal mental state, right? So it's very important to, like find a good balance between that. And I think like one of the key things to balance is, all right, again, the nutrition, the fitness aspect, and taking time to also work on the mindfulness of it.
And thanks so much for sharing those tips. And I think those are really, really important tips because like, people might only think it's just food, but it's actually a whole triangle, right? Like the wellness, mental wellness, your food, and also sleep. Is that it? Or yeah.
No, for sure. Like like healthy eating is, I think that's one of the first the first thing that we get from our consumer, like we're on our meal plans. They always tell us like, oh wow, I feel a lot better. And of course, right, because it's a matter of like the right balance in the meal, and making sure that then like it recalibrates your body to work better, right? And I think that then the body, by eating cleaner and having like better source of fuel, ultimately is able to like recalibrate, and this is then where you like all the benefits come, like better focus, better energy levels. You don't have these like 3 p.m. crash in front of your computer, and that need of like taking a nap, like so that, and ultimately then you sleep a lot better at night.
It's a full cycle. And as
yeah.
As a B2C company, like helping customers achieve the best version of themselves, I'm sure you have your own fair share of customer success stories. Are there any particular ones that you feel really, really resonate with you?
I mean, yeah, I think for me that's the best part about the job. Like doing this company, and we've done lot of things. We had a lot of like success stories when we had the restaurants, and on the plans we did like also some transformation programs and all that. So we've transformed the lives of a lot of people, and I think that's the best thing, because what we are is we are that spark. We are like with that first I'll say engine to help you understand what you need to do, and you have to understand that all right, it's not so difficult. And I think that one of the best success story that we have is with one of our ambassador, do who used to come to the restaurant and used to eat YOLO, especially because he felt he was not dieting when he was eating our food, and then he was able to lose like 35 kilos, and now he's like the owner of one of the hottest boxing gym. He's in phenomenal shape, and he's become a spokesperson for like positive transformation, and explaining like everything that it took for him to make that transition. And we have another ambassador as well, Kumar, that has had like one of the craziest transformation I've seen in like 5 or 6 months eating our product. And I think that what it does is that it just brings confidence back in people, right? And often like people have that desire, they just don't know how to do it. And this is where we fill in the gaps. This is where we come in and we help people understand like, look, like it's convenient. And the two key things that we are is we're healthy and we're convenient. And the more complicated, the more friction you have, the more resistance you're gonna have, right? So we're here to just make it super smooth, super simple, just enjoy the food and we take care of the rest. And I think that, like then it makes the process a lot better and a lot more efficient.
Mm-hmm. And I think, eating is just one of the easiest way. And also like as part of like the healthy triangle, right, that you mentioned. So I think that shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
Like it's better than exercising. I think for me, I probably wouldn't have an issue with that because eating is like it's life for me. So it just makes it healthier. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but like, and I think like, the thing is, look, like eating is life for me too, like, and I think that, one of the, at some points, right, something's got to give, right? If you have too much of one, then you have too little on the next, right? I think it's a matter of balance. And the reason why I call the business YOLO and YoloFoods is because you only live once. So I really wanted people to understand that it's a philosophy that it doesn't have to be like everything one way or everything the other way. It doesn't have to be 100% of the time healthy. No, eat healthier, so then you can like really eat all the things that you love that are sinful on the other side, and it's a good balance, right? And because you only live once, make sure that you still eat the things that you love, but at the same time you take care of your body because you only have one, and that body is very important. The way that you feel is very important, and for moms out there, for families, for all that, like like you have loved ones around you, and I think it's a responsibility to take care of yourself and make sure that you live like a more balanced and healthier background, so you can enjoy the family, you can enjoy all this for a really long time without having any issues. So there's a prevention aspect as well for me that is very important.
And definitely an investment on ourselves.
Yeah, 100%.
And just out of curiosity, because I know you being the CEO of a health-focused food company, you're very busy. Just very curious on how do you maintain a balance in your own life between work, personal health, and also wellness?
So, like, I mean, the thing is, when people hear my, like my routine and all this, they're always, they're always like, wow, okay, because I believe that things needs to be like organized, and I just like I think I just try to learn from people that have done it, right? So growth is a very big part of like my like my existence in general. So I'm always learning, always reading, always And I think that things that really started to make like an impact for me was to, you know, have like very dedicated slots. So I mean, I wake up very early. I wake up at like 5:30, and I have the time first to learn when I first wake up, and the learning is everything about reading. So I usually have about an hour of reading, and it can be reading anything, like reading the news. But the important aspect is about learning something. And then after that, I have a part of reflection. So this is where I journal. And, you know, like, I mean, like, I used to be like, all right, my way of getting things out is going to the gym, like playing sports and being like the alpha guy, right? But actually journaling has been such a, you know, like, I was very skeptical when I started it, but now it's, you know, I found like how important it is, and you know, like just being basically like writing every day, like the top 10 things I was grateful from the previous day, and having a certain routine on how I want to, you know, just reflect, right? And then after that, this is where I, you know, like I work out in the morning. So, you know, basically by the time I reach like 9 o'clock, I've already achieved all these different things. And this is where then, of course, my nutrition is pretty, you know, it's pretty tight, except on weekends. So then I don't feel so, you know, like stressed about what I eat and all that, because I know that for 70-80% of the time, I've been very, very good. And yeah, and then, like, you know, it gives me a lot of time for you know, then after for my work, it gives me a lot of time to really think about, you know, the business and the relationship I have in the business, the team, and growing everything, while making sure that I also take care of myself, take care of my stress level, because I'm a founder and with, you know, very big ambitions. So you know, I need to make sure that, you know, like the stress level is managed, and I've been, you know, and I'm in a situation where I take care of my body and take care of my mind and take care of everything.
Thank you so much for, you know, for sharing your, you know, your lifestyle and your routine. I'm taking notes, by the way, but just that for me, I have a lot of stuff because I'm a working mom. So time is actually
Nice.
quite crucial for me. But yeah, I will see. I'm pretty inspired by, you know, how you start off your day so early in the morning, journaling and stuff. I think that's a very good way to start off. And
Yes. Yeah.
but yeah, it's been a great session so far. Unfortunately, we probably need to, like, you know, wrap up a little bit. But before that, perhaps you can probably give us, like, you know, share with us any tips or maybe some steps that people can actually follow to lead a healthier lifestyle. I know you did share earlier on, but perhaps maybe you can say more in detail, share with them, like, you know, maybe for like employees working for organizations, on how they can actually better manage their lifestyle.
Yeah, I think, you know, I think that there's basically like you know, a couple of things, right? There's some routines, and so I think we spoke about, you know, nutrition, and I think that when it comes to nutrition, you know, the best thing is really the balance, right? On, you know, on our side, right, and in general, people are always very interested in weight loss. They're always interested in managing their weight and all this. And I think that, you know, for people that are like that, you know, we've got like you know, weight loss guide. We've got guides on our website and for our members to really explain that journey. But I think this is just a matter of where to start is really by, you know, watching the amount of calories that you take versus how many calories you burn. And I think that's the concept, right? And so when you think about how many calories you take, of course, this is where, like, you have to think about the portion size, and you have to think about how often you eat, and, you know, and forget about all these things like, oh, stay away from carbs. Like, no. Have, you know, big-sized meal, but make sure that you have the right balance between the meals, right? So a protein piece that is at least, you know, as big as your hand, and, you know, like, so, you know, like you get enough proteins, good amount of carbs, add vegetables to your meals, drink enough water through the day, right? But I think, like, you know, the nutrition aspect is pretty, you know, it's pretty straightforward, and especially if you buy our products. Because we do that for you. Exactly. But then I would say, like, you know, the second part, which is the calories out, right, is really, I think, what people need to do a lot more, because especially now with the aspect of staying at home, working from home, you literally just like walk from your bedroom to then your office or your table, and you sit there, and then you go on your couch, and, you know, like, and So what you do is you do not move, and because you do not move, you do not burn calories. So I think the aspect of taking a walk outside, trying to like either go to the gym or have some type of physical activities is super important, because by like, by not moving, not like even going to work. When you're going to work, you're not walking to the bus station, you're not taking the bus, you're not walking to go to work, and not going down to get a lunch. So you're not doing all these movement are burning calories. And I think that aspect is the aspect of moving is very, very important, and people are not doing that enough. So if you're not moving enough, meaning that your metabolism is going to slow down as well. So even when you move, then you're not going to burn as many calories as you would like to, right? So keeping activity like up is super important, right? And then the last thing is making sure you take care of your mental state, right? A lot of people, sometimes it's hard even understanding like, all right, what are you supposed to do in all this? But one of the things that I highly, 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 like recommend, especially for corporates that have like an intense like professional life, is meditation. And again, coming from a person that used to think that the gym or sports was the answer, meditation is a very, very important aspect. And I recommend people to like, try to look into it, try to like find on YouTube or, like Insight Timer, some of these apps, and try to like discover that and being still like that. Like meditation is basically 4 times more powerful than sleep, right? So if you do 15 minutes meditation a day, it's like an hour of sleep, an hour nap. That's how efficient it is for your body. So it's incredible. It really brings you into the now, and I think for me, most importantly, it really allows me to be in a better state to face the daily micro stresses that comes, right? Because what a lot of people are doing is they wake up and they look at their phone, they see all the message, micro stress, micro stress, micro stress, and straight away they're being like, in a very aggressive surrounding. And I think that meditation is really a way of like helping you manage that. So I think that's that's the recommendation for the day.
Those are really, really like golden advice indeed. Simple and I mean definitely doable. And I think the community will appreciate that a lot. And before we close off the session, maybe any last words from you, like maybe would you like to share about your future plans for YoloFoods, or any new updates or any products, new service on the line that we can actually look forward to?
Yeah, no. So I mean, we're we have a lot in the pipeline, and so we're actually launching like 9 new recipes, 9 new products this month, and they're actually some of the best sellers that we had in the restaurants. So we're bringing back restaurant quality meals and some of the best sellers back to our customers online. So we're very excited about this. We're also launching a great partnership with Amazing Graves, that is going to be our official like breakfast provider through the meal plans that we're doing. So we're very excited to be working with these guys as well. And I think that what we're trying to do, and it's always a matter of like providing a healthy solutions for very busy people. And you spoke about being like a working mom, and I think that's one of the key segments that we serve, right? Like how are you able to give time back, right? How can we like give you basically like an hour a day back to to spend quality time with your kids, right? And I think that's always been like a very big focus, right? So one aspect was like providing like healthy food for the family, but now what we'll launch in about a month or two is actually like kids meals, healthy kids meals. So we can now like nourish the whole family. And I think so we are very excited about this. And like moms are a very, very big part of our audience and our customer base. So we're very excited to be launching soon this new product line.
I'm pretty excited also, because at least I've got that covered for my family for dinner and stuff like that. And I think it's definitely a good approach, because at least we can eat healthier together and not just focusing on the adults.
Yes, and having still to cook something for the kids as well.
Exactly. Oh my God, that's always a challenge for me. But yeah, once again, thank you so much, Alexis. It has been a really, really great session with you. Like, thank you so much for sharing your insights and your advice. Your dedication to like transforming lives through healthy eating is truly commendable. Really, really appreciate a lot. And we wish you continued success in all your future endeavors. And thank you so much for today. Really appreciate.
Thank you, Sophie. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Take care.
Cheers, you too. Bye bye.
See you. Bye.